Okay, here are a few tips that you might find useful that are not usually so obvious when you first use SoloRack. Uh, the first of the presets menu that you see here is actually a folder structure. It mirrors the same folder structure under the SoloRack folder in My Documents. If you go to My Documents SoloRack folder, you'll find presets, and this the same files is exactly mirrored here in the synth. So what you can do is that you can add, delete folders here, create a complete folder structure here, and you will see it reflected in the menu here. You can add folders, under folders, and all that. The second tip I wanted to say is you can fine tweak a knob by pressing Shift and then tweaking. This will give you finer granularity, and you can copy paste a knob by right-clicking on it and then pasting, obviously, to another knob. You will have the same value exactly. The third tip is you can choose the color the color of the cable by right-clicking on any rack space here, empty rack space, and you can, by default it's on random. You can choose green, for example, and then all the cables you will produce is green, or any other color. You cannot change the color of the existing cable. No, only the cables you will put next. So that's the thing. Three things here. You might notice lines here, some lines between the input patch point and some knobs. When there's a line between a patch point and a knob, it means that this knob is actually an attenuator or fader for that patch point. So when it's at 0, there is no effect of that patch point. You scale up the effect of the patch point by increasing the knob beside it, and this line indicates that this knob is an attenuator for this patch point. Now, sometimes you will see that the knob has the same function of the patch point. For example, here, this is cutoff CV, and this is cutoff, okay? So, but there's no line between the knob and the patch point. This means actually that the cutoff manual knob has exactly the same effect as the patch point, and the value of both are added to form the final effect. So both the value of the patch point of the control voltage that is received here plus the value of the knob, it forms the final cutoff here. So this is one situation here. And there is also a third state where you will have a knob, a crossed line between a knob and the patch point. See here the cross. What this means is the knob will act as an attenuator for the patch point only if the patch point is connected to a cable. When there's no cable on the patch point, this knob will act differently. Usually, it's the same. It's the same function. For example, here it says stepping. The function here is introduces stepping into the waveform. So if there is no cable connected to the patch point, you can manually change the stepping. If there is a connection to the patch point, this manual stepping will go, and the knob will act as an attenuator, as a fader, a scaler for this patch point. Now, you might ask a question here, what if I want to manually dial a step and then also have a CV control? So what you can do here is use an offset generator, dual offset generator here, and then this will give you a manual output. You can take the output from here and patch it to the patch point, scale it, and then the actual value of the CV you can input from another place. For example, an LFO, you can bring an LFO here, another LFO, and let it control this value. And see here what's happening. The CV input is added to this value and then output it here, and that this will scale the final value. I hope it's clear here. So that's what I wanted to show in this video. I hope it's useful.